You've manifested yourself into a human I can depend on to bring me happy.
Hey there, viewers! Welcome back to A Captain's Log. Now, I know things seemed just a little bit dire last week, but I assure you that I am your humble host, Brian Croyds. Now, after last week's Mirror World incident, we had to cut our interview just a little bit short with the Nana visitor, but don't worry, Deep Space Nine fans. Lili and I are committed to finishing our interview with the amazing Nana visitor. And speaking of the best co-host in all the Federation, it's Lili Fox Lim. Hey.
How do I know that you're not Mirror, Brian?
Well, how do I know you're not the Mirror Universe, Lili Fox Lim?
Well, that's exactly what Mirror Brian would say.
Yeah, but...
Come in, Oris. Come in, USS Oris. This is Captain Chip of the USS Crescendo, calling in to aid in the assistance of the removal of 2 Mirror Universe Terrans. We have urgent information to share with you. Your captain isn't responding.
Finally, we get some good news, I guess.
While we still don't know how these beings jumped to our reality, it has come to our attention that they are only able to maintain their physicality in this dimension because of a two-way broadcast that is being transmitted from your ship.
Okay, so we just have to cut the connection and they'll fade back to their own universe?
Exactly, yes. All you have to do is cut the transmission labeled Nana Visitor Interview.
I think we've lost the audio connection. Computer, can you reestablish the audio connection?
Transmitter, can you hear me, Oris?
Wait, what?
Oris, come in here. You just need to cut out that transmission to Nana Visitors.
Yes, that's right.
Don't you remember Intendant Kira was killed in the novel Warpath and she was replaced, and they're trying to replace their Intendant again.
That's right. Yeah, but we got to do something. We've got to do something.
I know, but we can't just cut the comms.
Why not?
Well, they've definitely had long enough to triangulate her position, so our readings show that the mirror, you and me, are still in here. So if we sever the connection, we'll launch them straight to Nana.
And
Our only
overload.
option is
Wait, look. And we'll overload the system with questions to dampen their connection, thus force them to go back to the reality.
Okay, exactly.
Okay, do it.
Okay,
Let's do it.
This
Let's
will
do
be
it.
a little tricky, but I think we can do it.
it is, Lili, yes.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it here first, Star Trek fans. This interview has just become a rescue mission. We'll be back to finish Nana Visitor's interview right after these messages.
A Captain's Log with special guest Nana Visitor returns in a moment.
Guards, stop that woman.
What is this blasphemy?
I am Major Kira Nerys, and I come with proof that the Cardassians are behind Minister Jaro's attempt to take control of the government.
Major Kira has long been an outspoken opponent of the provisional government, of reason, of progress, and now finally, of me. I'm honored to be included, Major, but I have no intention of allowing you to disrupt the orderly transition of power with these wild charges.
This is a manifest pad from a Crusari vessel. It bears the thumb scan of a Cardassian gull who transferred weapons to that ship. Those weapons were taken by the Crusari to the Circle. This coup will deliver Bajor back into the hands of its greatest enemies. Are you willing to live under Cardassian rule again?
I assure you there's nothing to these accusations.
Then you should have no objection to an inspection of this manifest, Minister.
No, of course not. We'll adjourn for the time being.
Welcome back, fans, to A Captain's Log, the only show putting their standing with the Federation in jeopardy to save our favorite Deep Space Nine actor, Nana Visitor.
Yes, that's right, Lili. Nana Visitor, winner of the OFTA Best Actress Award 2 years in a row, is back and ready for more questions.
Let's get this interview resumed.
Now, Nana, welcome back to A Captain's Log. We appreciate you doing this interview, and I'm glad we were able to reestablish the connection.
Brian, I am thrilled to be here. Let's go. What you got for me?
Okay, so let me ask you this question, Nana. Aron Eisenberg, Marc Alaimo, Casey Biggs, and the late, great Majel Barrett, and Louise Fletcher. Who out of these, or perhaps someone else as a guest star on Deep Space Nine. We're your favorite to work with, and maybe you have a cool story you can share.
First of all, to talk about all those people as guest stars is so weird to me. Of course they were, but they were intrinsic parts of the show, and and all of them just brilliant actors. I felt so lucky to have scenes with Louise. What a great actor she was, and delightful off camera, very down to earth, ready to laugh. And she had this, when she laughed, she would become like a 17-year-old girl. And she'd go from that off screen to, who she was on screen. And it was like, how can those be the same people? It was amazing. Aron, I loved Aron. That was as a matter of fact, I tend to go into a shocky place when things happen. But my husband one morning said, "I'm so sorry, Nana. Aron Eisenberg died." And I said, "I don't know an Aron Eisenberg." And I didn't let it in for maybe 20 minutes. I could not accept. Renee, I knew was going, and that was horrible, but I knew to expect it. But Aron was that was so young. I mean, I know when you say that, but too young, just too young. Marc Alaimo, brilliant actor, completely brilliant, and a wonderful nemesis to have. There was a time where Ira thought that we should have a relationship. And that's the only time I said, absolutely, absolutely not. That is, she can have a relationship with a Cardassian for sure at this point of the game. This was years and years in, but not him. Not him.
Oh, yes. I love what you said at the beginning about it's feeling weird calling them guest stars when they really do play such a large part in the story.
Ooh. Yes. You're promoting your new book, Star Trek Open a Channel, A Woman's Trek. What were your feelings around Terry Ferrell leaving the Deep Space Nine series in season 7? Was there ever a time when you considered leaving with rigorous schedules doing an average of 25 episodes a season?
Because back then, to leave a series, I say in the book, it's the kind of story, if actors gathered around campfires and told scary stories, it would be, and then she left the series that she had. It'd be like, no, because you can be blackballed. People go, oh, no, I'm not going to, all kinds of things. Or so we were told. So I believed, whether that was true or not. Fact is, Terry left and got another series right away. So, of course, there are all kinds of things to make us fearful, to keep us in place, and malleable and stuff. And I admired Terry because she just refused that line of thinking. And she went with what she believed was right. And it's I look back at that and I go, how incredibly brave of her. And I've seen her live that way all the way through, doing what she believes is the right thing to do. But it was upsetting, of course. It was terrible. None of the actors wanted her to leave. And it did feel, although you can't abandon an adult, you can only abandon a child. It felt like an abandonment. It felt like, no, you're leaving the family. But of course, she wasn't. She was doing what was right for her. So yeah. And then Nicole de Boer came in and helped the writers rediscover a new way, which is what I discovered doing interviews for the book with them, they found a new way to have a trill. They realized there should be confusion. She shouldn't just be this wise soul, because that's a very static and passive thing to play. How do you play wise? But to play confused, to play, wait a minute, what lifetime am I in now? Why do I have this body? It speaks to identity crisis. And, you know, I think all of us at one point or another feel uncomfortable in our bodies or our lives, or not knowing how to deal with ourselves. So it's a very, it became a character that is really people can identify with.
Thank you for bringing that up, because it's so true. So many of us think that we're supposed to already know ourselves before we're adults, when the truth is it takes a long time to discover yourself. And this isn't just a problem for women.
Absolutely.
It's not. It's what the culture of the time decides we should all be. And men have boxes too. And men have, you know, narrow lanes of how they're supposed to behave. And it's just, it cuts off bits of us that are very useful when we all get together and offer what we have, you know, in any system that we're in, where there's so much more to get from us.
Nana, you've so clearly thought about this a lot and have so much emotional intelligence. And we need more people like you with your mindset in this world.
Now, Nana, you've made the convention circuits. Usually fans ask you some of the same questions and stories time and again, which they're good questions, but we wanted to be a little bit different here on a Captain's Log. What's the answer to a quick question you've always wanted to be asked about Star Trek?
No, there has been, and things that I've signed. I remember, before I could think it through, signing a 6-month-old baby that was put in front of me.
What?
Yes, I signed the diaper. There's very little that I haven't heard or been asked at this point. But I have to say, the people, and I didn't just interview the women, I interviewed the people who were affected by the women and who went on to be politicians. And there's an army chaplain who got all her best advice from Captain Janeway. And there's an astronaut that I interviewed that B'Elanna Torres meant a lot to her when she was in a small Italian town and no other women were engineers. She went, well, if you can see it, you can be it. And it's true. And Star Trek women did that for a lot of women, but not just women, men too. Men were so affected. The men that I interviewed, one told me, you know, I was the only child of a divorced mother back in the 90s. Not cool. But the fact that Crusher, Dr. Crusher, was a single mother made me feel like I could go to school with my head held high. Big influence, huge influence. The influence was it gobsmacked me when, and there were so many people at European Space Agency, at NASA, on ships, you know, the Star Trek crews I interviewed in England at conventions. I was given a time to interview. I can't tell you how many, it's so much information. They should all be in the book. They're not, but their stories gave me what I could write and how important this cultural phenomenon is.
Thank you for sharing these stories, giving all of us Trekkies something amazing to sink our teeth into.
Yes.
So what are some of your favorite theaters that you've performed in as an actor or as a dancer?
St. James Theater and Broadway. That's a fantastic theater, and I did a couple of shows there. The Schubert, I did a show there too, and that's a wonderful little theater. And a theater that oh my gosh, I haven't performed in, but I've seen things in is the public. And I remember I went to see Hamilton there before it went to Broadway, when it was still 3.5 hours long before they cut it down for a Broadway run.
Yeah.
And I have, Bryan, not only am I annoying about watching choreography, I am terrible. If something's more than 90 minutes, I'm like, not enough to get me, I'm out. I'm at the bar. I'll see you at the bar. I saw this show and I was there for 3 hours like this. And I could have gone right back in and watched the whole thing again. I'll never forget seeing that show then with those people in it. It was remarkable.
Ooh, was there one specific aspect that made you like it?
To every aspect of it.
Okay.
Every aspect of it. I thought it was great.
Wow, you just keep giving us the coolest answers to these questions. So what's on your long-range sensory array for upcoming projects? And also, have you seen any good plays lately?
In LA, I don't often go to see plays. My husband is the managing director of Broad Stage in Santa Monica, and they put on two of my favorite jazz artists, Chucho Valdez, who I'm embarrassed to say when I met him, I actually curtsied to the floor like I was meeting royalty, but I feel like I was, and Stanley Clarke, who is an amazing mentor and human, as well as the bass player we all know him to be. So those are the performances that mostly I go to. Not a lot of plays happen in LA, and we're mostly at Broad Stage because that's my husband's work. And my long range plans, I have never had one. My long range plan is thinking that we're probably going to have leftover salmon tonight that I'm going to add roasted Brussels sprouts to, and maybe a salad. That's my long range plan. I didn't know about a book coming up. I didn't know about Star Trek. I didn't know about being on Broadway. I could figure out I was probably going to be on Broadway because of my parents, but there's never been a plan. I just keep rolling with it all. And Star Trek has been, what's great, it's someone without a plan. I've had a consistency. I've been a part of this incredible community that I get to join in. Now, you and I might have different thoughts on everything in the world, but we enter this conversation both knowing that we love Star Trek and what it's about. And that's, to me, that's an incredible place to be with people. I feel lucky, and I can go to London or Australia or France and do that and join people right there. And we can start with, we like Star Trek.
That's what's so amazing about the Star Trek universe. It's been influenced and adored across cultures.
Please, we're here to help you.
I don't know who you are or what you're trying to do, but it won't work. Whatever you think this is going to get you, you can forget it.
We don't think it's going to get us anything. If all we wanted was information, we'd have it already.
Oh, well, then what's stopping you?
We have no intention of hurting you. Why should we? You're one of us.
This is absurd. You can mutilate me, change my appearance. You are never going to convince me that I am a Cardassian.
I know this is difficult for you. I'm sorry. I wish there were a better way to prepare you for what you're going through. Sometimes I question the wisdom of our infiltration methods. By altering the memories of our long-term operatives, we ensure that they'll never be discovered, but it makes reintegrating them back into Cardassian society much more difficult.
Now, let me ask you this question here, Nana. It's such a minimalist makeup application with the Bajoran prosthetic over the bridge of your nose. Even though you did this daily compared to the other cast members, what was the transition like for you to play Cardassian Ileana Gamor, not just in the makeup, but in the episode's second skin?
It was not an easy episode to do, again, about identity, about this what we see is what is that, and being gaslit. The makeup was horrible. It was horrible to do. First of all, Kira wasn't that easy, and I'll tell you why. Yes, they just did that nose piece, which I see that. I'm still red. I'm still red. I have less skin right here because the first year I'd rip it off to go home to my baby, and I lost a lot of skin. And then because I didn't want to take the 20 minutes it took to get it off properly with, solvent, because it was just full on glue. But so I had that little bit, but then they had to paint my face so that you couldn't see any blood through it. So I had paint on my face, not makeup, full paint. So it felt awful, and it took a little bit of time. But to do the Cardassian, so that would be an hour and a half earlier. Whenever our call time was, I was in an hour and a half earlier. For the Cardassian, for a 7 a.m. start, they got it down a little bit, but my first call time was 1 a.m. because they wanted to do the beauty makeup as well as the Klingon, and they weren't sure how they were going to do it on me. It was miserable. And and then the day starts at 7, and it usually went 18 hours. So 18 hours plus that, I was clawing at the makeup going, I can't take it anymore. Having the true meltdown that a lot of people in the makeup would sometimes have. And I couldn't, the next show, I was supposed to be a fantasy of Quark's and what was he? What was that? A Ferengi.
A Ferengi.
And I couldn't do it. I couldn't even just put the head on. It gave me such claustrophobia.
Yeah, I would hate to be stuck in a bunch of prosthetics too, no doubt.
Yeah, we'll be right back to finish our interview with Nana Visitor after these messages.
A captain's log with special guest Nana Visitor returns in a moment.
Welcome back to A Captain's Log. Star Trek, Open a Channel, A Woman's Trek is the new book authored by Nana Visitor. She's in our high-stakes interview here today on A Captain's Log. So, Lily, do you think we've asked Nana enough questions?
BK?
The data on the pad shows that's a no.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think they know what we're up to. They probably just assume we're just going to ask like one more question. That's why they're so calm. They're biding their time.
All right. Let's see if we can pull this off. One more question. I want to ask her another question anyway. So.
Okay.
All right. So, Nana, it's been nearly 60 years since Star Trek opened up, right? 60 years. So, Star Trek came out with great perspectives from Nichelle Nichols, Denise Crosby, Marina Sirtis, and even stuntwoman Leslie Hoffman, Gates McFadden, all these great names. You, Nana, still have a vibrant career going forward. What prompted you to write your book, Star Trek Open a Channel, A Women's Trek?
Well, actually, I never thought to write a book, although I have always written. I like to write. There are papers all over. If you could see my desk, there are bits of essays that I've written here and there on my computer. They're everywhere, very disorganized. But this editor, Ben Robinson, had an idea for a book about the women of Star Trek and how influential they were. And it was going to be a very simple book, a picture of the star with artwork and just maybe a paragraph written by me. And he said, I don't think a man should write this. I think a woman should. And I said, yes, I'll do it. And then changed the concept of the book completely. And to his credit, he was like right there with me. He said, okay, let's go. And he let me do it. I expanded the book. It was supposed to be 200 pages. It's 300 pages. So it's a lot of writing in it. I'll show it to you. It's a beautiful book. And I leave what I found in this book is such respect for the show, because finally I watched all of them, all the different shows. I hadn't done that before. And I got such a deep respect for the shows, for the women in it, and speaking to them, how they have managed themselves and their careers and their lives and the times. I feel like I'm a cheerleader for each and every one of them, and I can't wait to see what's next for them.
Open the damn door! The Terran Empire will rule you!
Let us! Quick, Bryan, the rapid fire questions.
Okay, right. Now, you will be our first guest on this new segment called Warp Speed Questions. Now, we're going to ask you questions until you tell us the first thing that comes to mind. This is going to be so much fun. Okay, you want to do this? Okay, all right, here we go. Now, what's your favorite drink to get pep while acting?
While acting, coffee.
I love it, yes. Now, what's your favorite book or movie?
My favorite book is Flow by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi.
Oh, I'm sure you've researched many women in Star Trek episodes to write your book, The Women of Star Trek. Now, what's your favorite episodes in both DS9 and the rest of the Star Trek franchise?
I'll say the arc of 7 of 9 I found remarkable, absolutely remarkable. And I would say in DS9, Duet.
That did it.
Yes, thank you so much, Nana, for doing this interview.
And we can't wait to check out your book.
It was my pleasure. Really, really fun. It was great to meet you.
How did you figure it out? I guess you guys will always just be second best. Now run along back to your world.
Oh, don't think you've seen The Last of Us. The intended was a failed mission, but our overall goal remains the same. And that would be?
We'll be seeing you again soon. Well, that wasn't ominous at all.
Oh, well, I guess not. But yeah, I'm not too worried, I guess. With you as my co-host and every week and our fans tuning in every week, I have faith that we can overcome any obstacle.
That reminds me of a Major Kira quote. That's the thing about faith. If you don't have it, you can't understand it. And if you do, no explanation is necessary.
Ah, yes, I love that. Thank you for joining us this week on A Captain's Log. We hope to catch you next week and throughout this new season of the show. Bye for now.
Hello, happy, my old friend. I'm glad you've manifested yourself into a human I can depend on to bring me happy. Ooh. Thank you, happy.